I am going to be introducing you to a very significant part of the course. This concept here, you probably may not have heard about it, or maybe you did in different ways. When you look at us as humans, there is something very significant about us. That something is about our desire to make things work, our desire to create things and also make them work. When you take yourself back into history, wherever our first parents came from, who knows? But from biblical perspective, we know and believe that God created man and woman. When he created them, he did so because everything else he had created before them was good. And he wanted somebody to be a custodian to this thing. The custodian he put into a man and a woman Christians call Adam and Eve. You will remember or recall the story, just paraphrasing, that at some point in time, Adam and Eve decided that they were going to do things their way. And in the process of doing that, they lost their right to stay in the Garden of Eden. The manner in which God wanted them to tend the garden and have everything provided for them, they abandoned it, probably thinking to themselves that if they explored, they would be better. They would be better off than if they just sat in a garden and probably didn't do much. Sadly, as they left the premises, by the time they decided to come back, poof, everything was gone. They were unable to get back to the garden. When I think more about that, it gives me the understanding that economics, maybe among all the social institutions, was one of the first few that emerged earlier in our journey through earth. Adam and Eve realized that they didn't have the plenty that they had, and that they needed to do a lot of things to sustain themselves. There and then began the human journey of trying to deal with what we call in economics the economizing problem. A little while ago they had everything. Now they have virtually nothing, or maybe just a little, and they had to work between the two of them to sustain themselves. And over time, that was carried over to their kids and their kids' kids and their kids' 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 kids through to today. When you look at us as human beings on earth, we do a lot to keep our lives sustained. In this macroeconomics class, in this particular lecture, it is my desire for you to understand that at the base of everything we do, at the base of what we call economics, are people. But no ordinary people. People who have the qualities required to make the resources work as efficiently and effectively for all of us. This is what I refer to as the human factor. The role and the activities that we all engage in are led and managed by people who have certain qualities in them. Those qualities in people are what I refer to as the human factor. Defined as you see on the screen is as follows. The human factor is the spectrum of personality characteristics and other dimensions of human performance that enable social, economic, and political institutions to function and remain functional over time. Paraphrasing, the definition of the human factor states categorically clear that without quality people, it is impossible to make any institution work as effectively as possible. You will also recall that in human domain of life, we create institutions to help us do things. Institutions like the family, the economy, government, which we also refer to as politics. We have the law, we have religion, and then we have education. There are 6 of them. For these institutions to work as effectively as possible, we need a certain caliber of people to manage and run them. Therefore, in this slide, you realize that I have there for you that when you take you or me or any other human being, we all have negative and positive sides to us. Therefore, any human being has his or her human factor broken into 2 segments. The positive, which are the good qualities we have, and the negative or traits, which are the negative traits we have. When you put those traits together, the positive and the negative, you define yourself. And depending upon where you are on that spectrum, you will be either a productive or an unproductive person. But we know that there is no person in the world who is just totally unproductive. Neither do we have someone who is always forever productive. We are blind. Wherever you are on the spectrum determines the degree to which institutions we create will work. Herein lies the significance of the quality of the human factor. Looking at slide figure number 1.5, there are these 6 social institutions I have already mentioned to you. The family, the law, government, the economy, education, and religion. These are institutions. We call them social institutions. What most people forget or are ignorant about is that these institutions are inanimate. They don't have any life in themselves, but the life given to them by you, by me, by all other people. Therefore, we can argue that the family made of mom, dad, boys and girls or children is just an institution. What gives life to the family are the people who make up the family: mom, dad, and the kids. Similarly, when you talk about religions, we have so many of them. You hear people, oh, this is a bad religion. Oh, this is a crazy religion. Oh, this is a good religion. That is wrong thinking. Institutions are never good or bad. Or should I say they are neither good nor bad. They are inanimate. They have no life in them. Their life is given to them by the people who manage and run them. So also education. Have you ever heard people say, oh, this is a bad education? No, they are wrong. Or bad economy. There's nothing like that. Or bad government. Wow, that's one we say a lot in the United States. Bad government. Governments are never bad. People are bad. So when you have bad people leading government, you have bad results. When you have good people leading government, you have good outcomes. So also is the law. Now let's talk about the law in the United States as it relates to gun control. How many laws do you think we have in the United States regarding gun control? Think about it for a moment. Guess what you think? Okay. The answer is over 20,000 laws. Do we still have gun problems, gun violence in the United States? You got it right. We do. How can we have so many laws, 20,000 laws on one simple issue? And yet, the problem is not going away. It is not the gun. It is the people. Therefore, when the quality of the human factor improves, we also improve the performance of the institutions. You realize that anytime people are thinking about, oh, let's change the law, let's change family, let's change government, let's change the school, let's change the economy, nothing works. We change things, therefore nothing works. But when we change people, things work either for the better or for the worse. The next slide, therefore, shows you the way we go about solving problems. You see, at the center is you, it's me. We call ourselves human beings. But sadly, in the second circle, as you see there, when we have problems, when we have challenges, we go to the third circle. We build institutions. We build technology. We build tools, systems, disciplinary knowledge. Do the problems go away? They never do. Then we create plans. We create policies, projects. We have this great ingenuity about things we want to do to make the economy work. Sadly, though, everything we do never, ever gets us to the solution. Do you know why? Let me tell you. The primary reason for this failure is not having the quality of people we need to make the institutions we create to work as effectively as possible. The reason why the macroeconomy in most countries don't work the way the people want, including the United States, is the quality of the people. This brings us to the understanding that until we improve ourselves, improving things, institutions, will not get us there. The human factor that will get us there has 6 dimensions to it. Let's look at them. Dimension number 1, spiritual capital, the ability to connect to God and the universal principles. If we are able to connect to the universe, if you choose, we will know so much about what it is we must be doing, and things will work for us. But we oftentimes ignore that. The second part is the moral side of us. And I call it moral capital. Moral capital is everybody's sense of right and wrong. The economy is only a living thing when it takes our lives. It's inanimate if we don't give it life. We miss the moral issues, and therefore we do everything we want, some of the time wrong things, and they don't get us to where we want to go. Look at the third dimension of the human factor. Aesthetic capital, your sense of beauty and ugliness. Have you ever heard people say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder? Ah, that's very pervasive. Do you know that that's wrong thinking? Well, let me tell you. There are some things which are beautiful. There are some things which are ugly. In our society today, we're in the habit of claiming that everything, anything is beautiful. When you think and do that, it means your aesthetic capital is warped, is wrong, is not well developed. But I want to tell you, everything God creates is beautiful. It's good. But it's what you and I create that suffers from the sense of beauty or ugliness. Then look at the fourth part, human capital, acquired knowledge and skills. We need skills, we need knowledge to be used. That's part of us. That's what we do in school. And look at number 5. Human abilities, which reflect our competences. And the competences are our abilities to use the knowledge and the skills we have learned and developed. Therefore, it is one thing developing skills, creating or knowing things. It's another thing being able to use them. That's why we have some people who are so brilliant, but they cannot do things because they don't have the ability to use the knowledge they acquired. And the final part is you and I are going to live life on earth, and we will end at some point in time without having developed every potential we have. That's what I call the human potential, the yet to be tapped into and developed talents. All these together, when developed, predispose us to work to make the macroeconomy perform as effectively as we want. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to see the U.S. macroeconomy become rejuvenated once again? Ah, good for you. If you do, when you do, you have to develop yourself. I have to develop myself. All of us have to develop ourselves. By so doing, we prepare ourselves to make the macro economy work. In conclusion, as we go through this semester, I want you to never ever forget that at the core of the macroeconomy is successes and failures are dependent upon the quality of the human factor of all Americans. Have a great day.